Hello, We Can't Wrestle podcast listeners. I just wanted to come on before we do this episode. You hear this episode of the show. We were plagued while we were doing this episode with, frankly, shitty internet. Recording this latest episode covering the first ever Saturday night's main event, myself and Aaron. So it's a little incomplete, and I do warn you, some of the audio is a little rough. So that being said, still going to present the episode to you, but I just wanted to warn you there is some rough audio here, and then at the end, we just had to kind of shut her down. Yeah, I just wanted to give you all a warning that that's what's going on. I'll be back on the other side to let you know some other things. Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the latest episode of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. The brothers Max and here with you. I'm Nate. That's Aaron.
Hello, everybody.
And this week, we are beginning a new series. You know, we've done the Clash of the Champions series where we went through all of the Clash of the Champions. We do our PWI 500 series sometimes, which take quite a few weeks to go through an entire PWI 500. This time around, we've decided that we are going to do a series chronicling Saturday night's main event.
Yes.
Starting from the first one in 1985.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the Clash of the Champions series. It kind of shows you the trajectory of the company, like their talent rosters and things like that. And it was like, I wanted to do that, or I wanted to do the Royal Rumble, but I'm like, we've covered Royal Rumbles before, and we do pay-per-view recaps. So I was like, this would be fun, just to do like a Saturday night main event. Plus, they're all available on Peacock, so that's the other thing too. If people want to watch along and
on the Peacock,
see what we're talking about, yes,
yeah. And actually, I think if you don't have Peacock, I think they have a lot of them on their YouTube page now too, folks. So if you don't have Peacock, I think you can still watch them on YouTube as well. But yes, like you said, it's also good because it's something that's watchable for anyone that, you know, maybe somebody that doesn't have shit on hard drives or on their computer, something they could follow along with us using either Peacock or YouTube. So I like that too. So it's going to be easy for you to
sorry.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, it's not
a 3-hour show that we got to review. Most of them are 1 hour to 1 hour and 15 minutes, and just a fun time capsule of how wrestling used to be.
Well, you and I were, you know what? I've decided on my recommendation for the week.
I have a recommendation too.
All right. Well, I am going to recommend. This is actually I'm changing direction on mine. I was going to recommend a movie, but I'm going to hold off and recommend that movie next week, because when we were talking before we started recording, we were talking about one of the great comedians of all the times. So my recommendation: hop on YouTube and go down the wormhole. Watch as much of Mitch Hedberg as you possibly can.
Yes. There's not a lot out there because he didn't last very long. He wasn't here for a long time, but he was here for a good time.
Yes.
He's very funny.
I personally, one of my top 5 favorite stand-up comedians of all time. Man.
Oh God, sorry.
So funny. I haven't slept for 10 days because that would be too long.
One of my favorite shows of all time, and it was a show that I know everybody likes, but when I was a kid, and I should say, like when I was in high school, it was a show that everybody watched. That was in my age range, was that 70s show. All right, everybody watched that 70s show, and it actually is very, very fucking funny. Okay, like I compare it to that time frame. Like the two funniest shows in that time frame on television were that '70s show and King of the Hill,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. And Mitch was only on like 2 episodes, but he has one of the greatest lines in the history of that '70s show. And Kelso, I can't even remember Mitch's character's name,
I can't
but
either.
they're at their little restaurant thing or whatever, and he's like, he wants some French fries, so he orders French fries, and Mitch Hedberg's character's like, "Look, I had to lose my legs in Vietnam to come back and serve you French fries." And Kelso's like, "You still have your legs." It's like I said, I had
I
to lose my
didn't lose
legs
my
in
legs.
Vietnam to come back and serve you French fries. Fucking great joke.
You know what's another good one? It's not from that '70s show. It's from one of his routines. Another one of my favorites. This jacket is dry clean only, which means it's dirty. Like he is not dry cleaning that jacket.
Like I didn't know a duck could eat a Subway for free.
Yeah, that's how I found out ducks eat for free at Subway. But you're a duck. Oh shit. Or the story about working on the movie set, and there was a
Peter
guy.
Frampton.
Yeah, there was a guy that. Yeah.
I
Oh
smoked
shit.
fake weed with Peter Frampton, but I smoked real weed with a guy that looked like Peter
Yeah.
Frampton.
Smoking fake weed with Peter Frampton is almost as cool as smoking real weed with a guy who looks like Peter Frampton. Oh shit. But yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and do Mitch Hedberg's act. It's his act. But if you have not checked him out, folks, check out as much as you can. I promise you, you will laugh. If you don't laugh at Mitch Hedberg, I personally don't think you have a sense of humor myself.
Yeah. Well, my recommendation is a new thing. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I'm glad that I saw that it was only one season and they canceled it, because I hate when I see like a show, they're like, "Oh man, that looks really good," and then you see there's only like one season of it. Sure, fuck, I don't know if I want to watch it now. And I wish they wouldn't have canceled it. And I think maybe there's a possibility it's going to come back eventually. But um, it's a show on Netflix called The Burrows,
The
and
Burrows.
it's produced by the Duffer Brothers, the guys that did Stranger Things.
Okay.
But it's a really really good show, and basically the concept is it's like this old folks home community, and it's like older people in it. And it's like Gina Davis is in it, and Bill Pullman's in it for like a minute. Um, there's a lot of really good actors and actresses in it, and it's a science fiction show, and it's got a science fiction premise, and the premise goes where you don't think it's gonna go, and it's really really good.
Now that you mentioned some of the people that are in it, I'm pretty sure I think I saw a preview for it, so I think I
I
know what
forget the
it's
guy.
about.
I forget the guy's name, but the guy that played Doc Ock in the Spider-Man
Mm-hmm.
movies,
Mm-hmm.
he's like the main character in it. It's just a really well done show. And when I saw it wasn't getting renewed, I'm like, that's bullshit. But they said it cost too much to keep
Well,
producing. Like it's like they said it was like $10 million an episode or something. So it's like whatever. If you didn't want to hit that budget, don't give them that budget. But it's a good show.
right.
Watch it. And
So
can I
check
ask
it
you
out
one
on
question?
Netflix.
Can I ask you one more question before we get into
Yeah,
the show?
sure.
Because I've been on vacation, and and when that Burrow show ran out, I'm like, I have nothing new to watch because I was watching Criminal Minds and that ended too. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna rewatch something. So I decided to start rewatching Fargo.
Okay.
I know my answer, but what do
Mm-hmm.
you think are the best 2 seasons of Fargo?
The best 2 seasons of Fargo. That's a good question. I really enjoy I I really enjoy the John Hamm season.
Yes.
I think that's probably my favorite because when I think of the show, even though it's not the original, but even though because that was the last season. Yeah, that was season 5. That was the last one.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one, and then I would probably say the first one, the first season with Billy Bob in it. So
That's my pick
season
too.
1 and season 5.
I'm like every season's good,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like, the show bookended itself. It's like the first season's fucking fantastic. And it's like one of the best stories I've ever seen on television. And then that last season's fantastic. And like, then I'll end it with this, but like one of the greatest scenes I think in television history, and like no lines are spoken, is just John Hamm's character walking to the shed.
Yeah.
Like he says nothing. It's a one shot till towards the end thing. It's like you know how sinister he is all the way through the show, but like that scene just shows how fucking sinister and diabolical that guy is, and how a fucking word is spoken when he's just walking. It's a
Mm-hmm.
great fucking scene. But anyway,
Well, and I don't know. Just in case you said you were or you had gotten a show hole or whatever, but I just happened to notice because I wasn't keeping up with stuff. I had a couple for like a week there where my work schedule was so that I wasn't watching much except coming home and watching some old wrestling and then going to bed, that kind of a thing. I wasn't really watching anything
yeah,
else or keeping up with anything else. I did start watching today. I noticed on the 20th of this month, a new season of King of the Hill dropped on Hulu.
oh, there you go.
So started watching that tonight. So I was pretty excited about that. Like I knew it was coming, but I guess I just was so, not checking up on things or whatever that I didn't notice that it dropped last week. So
Yeah,
it's there for everybody's enjoyment. All right. So let's go back to 1985. I was 7. I had big glasses.
I was 2.
You were like 2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years old.
I think you were just 3. It was a couple months
Yeah,
after your 3rd birthday.
a perfectly shaped head. It was a cute baby.
I was
Yeah, you
probably
had
in.
big girl. You
I
had
was
big gorilla monsoon glasses.
big girl monsoon glasses. Probably some ugly shirt my parents had us in. Our parents had me
Yes.
in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the 80s, folks. Lots of brown.
Yep.
Anyway, Saturday night's main event, May 5th, 1985. I did not look into when it was actually recorded and when it was actually taped.
Well,
But
mine had um May 11th.
oh, I'm sorry. No, you're right. It is May 11th. May 11th, 1985.
I looked it up and it was taped the day before.
Okay. Big deal at the time on television because you have to think back when you think back about the stuff in the like 70s and 80s and stuff too, and that there weren't a billion different channels that now there's like infinite television. Like,
Yeah.
television is infinite now. Back then it was not. Now the cable existed and stuff by this point in 1985, but
Oh yeah, that was the big thing, was that this was wrestling's return to broadcast television, because it had
yes.
been pushed into syndication and cable, and because WWE was all, or WWF was all syndicated, and NWA was cable because they were on Turner. So yeah, this was like the first time you were gonna find professional wrestling just out there on quote unquote free TV.
Yeah, network television.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If you had an antenna, you could watch this. You know.
And it just speaks to the popularity of WrestleMania, and speaks to also Vince's business acumen, and
Yeah.
getting hooked up with Dick Ebersol, getting this thing together, and to get in the Saturday nights into the Saturday Night Live spot. How big a deal is that in
Yeah.
1985?
Yeah. If people don't remember or know, like it wasn't every week, but I don't know, maybe every 3 months or whatever. We'll figure out the time frame or the time or whatever as we go through and look at the dates. Like this was a every 3 month break that they gave SNL, and Saturday Night's Mania was on there. So people who might have been tuning in to watch fucking Bill Murray or Dan Aykroyd got a junkyard dog and the Iron Sheik.
I tuned in for Garrett Morris, and I got the Junkyard Dog.
Mel Phillips.
Oh my. But yes, it is Saturday night's main event, May 11th, 1985, at the Nassau Coliseum. We opened the show with Cyndi Lauper and Wendy Richter. And for those of you that don't know or haven't, I think I've mentioned it on the show before. I am a Cyndi Lauper fan. I like Cyndi Lauper's music. I think Cyndi Lauper is a cool personality for a celebrity. Yes, I am a straight male and I like Cyndi Lauper's music. Shut up. Leave me alone, folks.
I'm a straight male and I love Cyndi Lauper's music too.
All
I think
right.
Cyndi Lauper's more fucking talented than Madonna. Like I'm like, where the
Yeah.
fuck did Cyndi Lauper not get over more than
Yeah.
Madonna did? I don't know. But
Cyndi Lauper and Wendy Richter are here to open the show and talk about the fact that there's going to be a women's title match tonight between Moolah and Richter. Oh, I'm sorry. As Cyndi says, Moolah. Listen here, Moolah.
Mueller. But yeah, like you said, it's Wendy Richter and Moolah are going to be fighting each other tonight. And I don't have a. I didn't have a lot of notes on that match coming up, so I'll just ask it now before
Okay.
I get into like the bashing on somebody else. Are you in the same boat that I'm in? And that I know a lot of times people in wrestling they go, "Oh, this person didn't get pushed, or this person got screwed over, or whatever." I think Wendy Richter got screwed over.
I do too. And she got screwed over because of, I don't know, just because, they talk about, old boys clubs or whatever, but Moolah was part of the old boys club. Like Moolah was one of those people that for better or for worse, Vince was going to side with her in any kind of situation.
Yeah.
And
Like I look at it almost like, and this guy obviously achieved more just because he was a dude, not just because he was a dude, but how wrestling works. He was a male. It's kind of like, you can tell me if I'm off base here, but it's kind of like Hogan and Brett. Where this guy's the established person, and now this guy, guess what? He's better than you, and you're just gonna use your fucking locker room clout, fucking try to shit on him. And she did the same thing to fucking Wendy Richter, in my opinion.
I agree. I did put down here, at least in the opening part of this show. Obviously, Vince and Jesse are on commentary. They do the intro, But as far as like going in between shots and things, did you notice that for the WWF, at least in the beginning of this episode of this show, the editing was rough?
Yeah,
I don't know if you noticed that or not.
I did. But it's also fun to look back at old how do I say it, like pre WrestleMania 3. It's fun to go back and look at WWF stuff because by the time they got to WrestleMania 3, Vince was like, we're a TV club. You know what I mean? But before that, it was still a wrestling production.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like WrestleMania 1, if you watch it, that's basically,
it's just a big Madison
I don't want
Square show.
Yeah, I don't want to shit on it because it's significant and it is what it is. But that's a fucking MSG show put on limited pay-per-view and closed circuit, you know.
Yeah.
And WrestleMania 2 is just 3 house shows presented as a paper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this is like I didn't look up and try to find like the actual card, but I guarantee there's at least 4 more matches that were filmed or that were on the show than what we saw. You know, like, this was a house show presented on TV.
All right, we're back.
All right. Well, before that thing took a shit, basically what I was saying was, I enjoy the fact, or I shouldn't say enjoy the fact, it's fun looking back and watching old WWF before Vince became concerned about I shouldn't say what the product looked like, but before he cared about being like a mainstream television product. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because if you watch this thing, like the Saturday night's main event apron, it's just a thing they painted. It's just that Saturday night's main event, and they hung it up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't like a big production. It was just a house show presented on TV, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, that's why I said it surprised me just because you have the WWF and you have NBC working on it, and it wasn't the whole show, it was just that editing at the beginning that was kind of. But anyway, the opening match, we have the legendary Freddie Blassie and the legendary Lou Albano at ringside for a 6-man with their 2 teams. The first team, obviously Blassie's team, is the Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, and George the Animal Steele against Barry Windham, Mike Rotunda, and Ricky Steamboat. One of the first things I wrote down here, and I've said this to my wife before, I know the Russian national anthem, and I know the Canadian national anthem, and I know those things because of professional wrestling. I know so much about, especially Canadian culture, because of professional wrestling. Like, there's
I learned most of my geography. I didn't learn my geography in high school. I learned my geography from professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm. I know, yeah. But just like, it's like I just know the Soviet national anthem. I can sing it, you know, because of Nikolai Volkov every week on my TV. Getting that heat.
Yeah, and then the other thing is they WWE networked it up because at this point the US Express was coming out to Real American.
Yes.
But they changed it to some like 80s beer commercial theme song.
I actually Shazammed it just for fun. It comes up as a song called America by Mark Ferrari and David Isaac Feidelstein.
Yeah, well, it's bad.
It was bad.
Whatever it is. It's terrible.
Terrible. But yeah, this 6-man, there's a couple of notes that I have before, and then obviously if you have any, but I put number one, watching this match, Ricky Steamboat is super fucking over, even without the like the sweetening. Like you can tell that his overness is not sweetened. And also, man, 1985 until probably early 1988, Barry Windham was one of the top professional wrestlers in the planet. He's so fucking good.
Oh yeah.
It's insane how good Barry Windham was.
Everybody in this match is good. Like, even how do I say it? Like, I'm not saying like everybody. Like, I'll never sit here and say, "Oh, George the Animal Steel was like one of the fucking greatest workers in the world," but he understood his gimmick and he worked it. And then,
yeah,
I also had in my notes that, I don't know, he's in the Hall of Fame and he deserves it and all that. Sometimes I think people forget how good Nikolai was as a big dude.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, what do I say? He's not going to be. He's not going to be your. I hate to go into this shit, but he's not going to be your 5-star classic guy. But for what he was as a big man wrestler in his time, he was one of the better ones. And he also knew Nikolai was one of those guys that didn't have to do a lot because he knew what to do to not have to do a lot, if that makes sense. And of course, obviously, by this time, he's been around forever. He was a fucking Mongol, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and just like I said, I think when people talk, like, I don't know, I'm trying to get at it, but I just think people forget that,
and
like, he was super fucking talented and understood his gimmick and was just really good, in my opinion. I think he's one of the underrated talents of his time.
But yeah, sorry, the gist of the end of this match. They're obviously setting up George the Animal Steel's ultimate face turn.
Yeah, real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
I forgot one note. Sorry.
That's all right.
And even though I knew it because I've seen this fucking show 100 times, for some reason I never noticed it. I love the fact that before the bell even rings, Fred Blassie's fed up with George the Animal Steel. Like, before the bell even rings, he's just like, God damn, this guy. But anyway, like you said, it's setting up George Steele. I'll let you go into the finish because you're going to talk about it.
Yeah, essentially what happens is that as the faces get more and more of the advantage, essentially Volkov and Sheik, well, Blassie is like you said, he apparently doesn't like Steele anyway, so he just tells his guys, we're getting the hell out of here. So Volkov and Sheik essentially abandon George the Animal Steel, who gets pinned by Barry Windham, and then gets pissed off. Starts obviously storming around the ring, eating the turnbuckles. Lou Albano comes in and tries to calm him down. This is going to lead to some wild fucking shit on TNT, by the way.
Oh, some of my favorite stuff is George Steele.
Oh, now,
Lou Albano.
brown cow.
Oh, now, brown cow. It's fucking great. And I love the fact that George Steele said that Vince McMahon was like, "Oh, you don't understand the gimmick," and like he was like trying to like cut promos and stuff, and he's like, "I want you to be an animal." So Steele said he went out there and he was trying to like fucking rib Vince and get one over on him. So he was just like, "Mine," doing all that shit, and he thought Vince was gonna be like, "That was the dumbest thing I ever saw," and Vince was like, "That's exactly what I want, pal."
Perfect.
I was like, "All right, well, I guess that's my gimmick now."
Then the heels are with Mean Gene Okerlund. They have like the open air interview area where you can still see the arena in the background at this point.
Yeah.
Gene is waiting for the heels to head back, and it's kind of like here's what I'll say. I like this because the way that it plays out, like shit like this, it's so awkward it looks real.
Yeah.
Like it's awkward. Like it's all very awkward with like Albano coming in and Steele's coming in. They're yelling, screaming, and then like they don't even actually get to make contact with the heels. The heels kind of hoof it out of there. And like there's like yelling and screaming, but no actual contact, and shit's awkward. And I was like, it actually looks like it's real.
Yeah, it's like we talked about with like Raw Now or whatever, like where they're in this like sanitary interviews environment where the three people are facing the same exact way. You know, like that type of shit. This it's like these guys just got out of the arena. They just got done with their match. They just walked to the back, and here's this guy saying, "Hey, what happened?" And it wouldn't take George Steele 20 minutes to find them because they're all right in the same spot because they just walked in the same direction.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But yes, the chaos is realistic. The next thing on this show is a Piper's Pit. Rowdy Roddy Piper in the Piper's Pit. He's of course got Ace Cowboy Bob Orton with him. And the guest is the newly babyface turned Paul Orndorff, who took the pin at WrestleMania and never got to live it down.
Yeah, and Piper's attempting to interview Paul Orndorff, and tensions are high, obviously. One thing there's more than one thing I liked about it, but the first thing I liked about it was that, like, you know, like a lot of times guys would walk into Piper's Pit and they'd be off guard or not know what's going on, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Orndorff was like ride or die with these guys for like a year and a half, you know, maybe 2 years. I don't know. But he automatically understood what he was walking into. Like when he goes to sit down and fucking Bob.
Oh yeah. He tells Orton to get over
walks behind him. He's like, no. You get in that corner right
he said, make my day like Clint Eastwood. He said, you go over in the corner where I can see you, not in the corner behind
I want you
me.
in my I want you in my fucking eye line. You know what I mean? Like he's like, I know this fucking game. I helped set it up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he knows them tactics. It's like Snoop Dogg's old Paul with the old tactics. Like he knows this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, essentially, Piper and Orndorff Piper is especially running down Paul Orndorff here. And then Piper and Orton kind of act like they're begging off and they're going to leave because Orndorff's getting intimidating or what have you. And of course, then they attack him. And I'm sorry, Piper attacks Orton. My notes are scrambled here. Piper attacks Orton. Piper attacks Orndorff. Damn it, too many oars. Piper
basically Piper says that Orndorff was the loser of WrestleMania. Orndorff says that Piper was a coward because even though Orndorff got pinned, him and Orton ran away, and both sides end up getting upset, and Orndorff is attacked and he fights back and he gets the upper hand for a little bit, but then gets overmatched, and then Mr. T comes back out, and he not back out, but Mr. T shows up and he ends up running off the heels.
And I want to make
Mr. Wonderful.
I want to make one statement here. Everybody knows how much of a fan of Paul Orndorff I am.
Right.
However, I will say I've never been a huge fan of Paul Orndorff as a babyface. I know there's like certain things, like you said in this thing, where he was aware of what his fellow former heel, or when he was a heel, his guys would be up to, and telling the psychology of telling Orton to get where I can see or whatever. But I just never was a big fan of Orndorff when he was playing face.
Me neither. And one of the reasons why this run of it, I don't really have a problem with it is because he was turned face to not be a face. Like, they didn't turn Paul Orndorff babyface with, in my opinion, they didn't turn him babyface with the thought of being like, oh, Paul Orndorff's going to become the second big babyface. They turned him face to build him up to be a heel.
Yeah.
Again. You know what I mean?
To go into one of my favorite rivalries of all time, Hogan and Orndorff.
Yeah. This was Vince's way of trying to build. It wasn't Vince's way to try to build a second babyface, which is crazy because Vince was always a babyface guy. You know, he always wanted that top face. It was Vince's way of trying to build a second, like, you know, like a lot of times, like, people
build him up to tear him down.
Well, not even that. Like, you know, like, oh, like, kind of like when they started with Warrior. Like, oh, this way maybe we can get away from Hogan and go with Warrior. Like, this was, like, I think Vince's way of trying to be like, let's get away from Piper and go to Orndorff. You know, because I don't want Piper to have too much sway or whatever. And I really think Mr. T should have just fucking went away after WrestleMania 1.
I'm watching some stuff I'm watching 87 WWF Superstars in primetime right now, and he shows up in 87 to have a little mini rivalry with Danny Davis. It's like referee versus referee. It's short-lived, thankfully. Also, I have to say, as much as I love the interaction between Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, 1987 primetime wrestling has some really shitty wrestling. Like, here's Outback Jack versus Boris Zukov. I mean, and then at the end of the show, you'll get like a fucking fantastic Heart Foundation versus Killer Bees match or whatever. But then it'll be like, here's Frenchie Martin versus Steve Lombardi.
Yeah, it's bad.
But anyway, back to the Saturday night's main event. Next thing, of course, Gene Okerlund interviews Hulk Hogan. He asks Hogan about what has just happened on the Piper's Pit. Hogan says that Orndorff gets to feel what it's like to have the people behind him now that he's had a change of heart. And because it's Mother's Day, he's dedicating his match to Ruth, his mother.
Ruth. Yeah.
That's her name, right? Ruth?
Huh?
That's her name, right? Ruth? That's
yeah.
Yeah. And that match that is
every time I hear somebody say the name Ruth, I think of there's an MST where the chick's name is Ruth, and the guy says it like Ruth. So every time he says it, the MST guys are like Ruth.
So. I remember that.
Ruth.
Hey, there's another recommendation. Pluto TV, Mystery Science Theater 3000 channel. It's a great thing to put on if you don't have anything else going on. Just put it on in the background. Mystery Science Theater never disappoints, and it's always funny. You can watch the same thing. That show's one of those things where you can watch the same thing multiple times, and it's like, oh, I forgot about that fucking joke. Joke. But anyway, the next matchup on the Saturday night's main event is a WWF Championship match. It is Hulk Hogan against Cowboy Bob Orton. Hogan has Mr. T with him. Bob Orton obviously has Roddy Piper with him. Pretty standard fare for Hogan and Orton here.
Yeah, it's got one of my favorite, it's a throwaway spot, but it's like one of my favorite things. And obviously Randy Orton is a once in a lifetime talent. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like when you watch Bob, if you really dissect and watch Bob Orton Jr., it's like there's no way his kid was going to be a can't miss. Like, I'm not saying Bob was like a Kurt Hennig, where he's just like a once in a lifetime generational talent or whatever. But if you watch Bob Orton Jr., that guy was so fucking good.
Well, and
And
I've said,
I don't think he gets noticed enough because in the time frame of things, like by the time he got to like the WWF, he was surrounded by like Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Roddy Piper, and all these guys, you know. And I don't think he had an ego on him where he was like, I need to be the top guy. I think Bob Orton Jr. was probably like, fuck it, I'm with this. I'm making my money. I'm gonna do my thing.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I'm not gonna ruffle feathers. But like in this, and I know you were gonna say something, and I'm sorry I stepped over you. But like this has one of my favorite just I don't know, call it like throwaway fucking spots. Hogan slam like Orton jump starts the match, you know, and he gets a little bit of it, but Hogan starts coming back. Hogan body slams him 3 times, and then Bob Orton just does like a backward somersault and does like with his hands like fuck it and just rolls out of the ring. I think it's my favorite like heel powders I've ever seen in my life. It cracks me up every fucking time.
That's great. But yeah, I have said, you know, I know you've heard me say it before that, that I wish there was more footage of Johnny Valentine, right?
Yeah.
Because the most I've seen is I have the Cornette Mid Atlantic tapes, and there's matches on there from those. But anyway, I would have loved to be able to see more of Bob Orton's dad too. Like, was he as good as Bob Jr. and Randy? You know what I mean?
I don't know if there's anything of that guy. Just hired with her, probably.
But yeah, like I said, the match itself, Hogan and Orton. Aaron, of course, had the Orton spot that he mentioned, but standard Hogan Orton, you know, it was about 6 minutes or whatever, just to showcase Hogan, and then of course to further the story with Hogan, Orton, Piper, and T. And Orndorff.
And Hogan does some roughhouse tactics in the match. Like he bites him and does all that. And then Orton tries to hit the superplex, which at this time was like the most devastating move in wrestling. But Hogan blocks it, knocks Orton off the top, and he goes for his leg drop, which he hits. But before the referee can count the 1, 2, 3, Piper hits the referee. And I love the fact that he didn't pull him out of there; he just punches him. And Hulk ends up winning by disqualification. And then Orton and Piper confront Hogan and Mr. T. But Orndorff ends up coming out and helping kind of even the sides, and Orton and Piper powder out and run away, and Hogan, Orndorff, and Mr. T celebrate.
Yes. Then we have Mean Gene. He interviews the Fabulous Moolah on her match coming up with Wendy Richter, and how she has got a court order or whatever, a proclamation that Cyndi Lauper is going to be banned from ringside during this matchup, this women's championship match.
Yeah.
And I put down here also, then they have an interview with Cyndi Lauper. And earlier on, she called Moolah Mooler. And then she also says something about, she's talking about WrestleMania, but she says Wrestling Mania. Yeah,
Yes.
Wrestling Mania. And then the aforementioned Fabulous Moolah versus Wendy Richter match takes place. And I don't have a lot of notes on it, actually. Just that Wendy Richter wins the match.
I'm trying to figure out a way to be like respectful about it. It's kind of like when you were like, "Oh, we don't have any footage of Johnny Valentine," you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need footage of Johnny Valentine to know that Johnny Valentine was good.
Right.
Okay. Like, I just know he was. But I wonder if there was a point where there's some footage where, like, Moolah was good. Like, I know she's a legend,
but she's
she
also,
like,
let's be honest, she is a legend, but she's a legend because she got to be where she was because she was essentially a pimp, and she got to be where she was because she controlled all the women's wrestlers that would tour. So to be able to use the women's wrestlers, you had to use her, and you had to use her on top. Let's be honest about the fucking thing. You know what I mean?
she wasn't good, in my opinion.
Yeah, she really wasn't. She really wasn't.
Her big elephant butt, and she just sucked, man. And she had like a personality. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying she didn't have some kind of charisma about her or whatever, but when the bell rang, fucking Moolah sucked.
Yeah, Moolah's success was definitely hinged on politics.
It's kind of like she's like the female equivalent of Jay Strongbow. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, she was in power and was in the spot she was in because of who she knew and politics. And that's kind of what because Jay Strongbow sucked too, man. He was terrible.
I agree.
Like, I know you said you were going to read it. Have you read that Titan Sinking book?
Yeah.
Well, I almost said I don't read. I do more audiobooks than I do like sitting down and reading a book, and I'm like audiobooking that. And do you remember what Randy Savage told Jay Strongbow? Do you remember that part of the book?
Was it when they didn't use his dad on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was in that battle royal, and he says threw Jay Strongbow over the top rope, and Strongbow broke his leg, and then he tried to say, like, he went to the back, and he was like, "These guys broke my leg," and Randy Savage, like, you broke your own leg because you're too fat and you shouldn't be out there, you piece of shit.
That was kind of where it was decided. I decided just to call it quits on this episode. I apologize again for the crappy audio. I hope you were able to get through it, at least to listen to what we were able to get through. And we just didn't have time with our work schedules and everything to redo the episodes. So I wanted to put out what we did have covering the first Saturday night's main event. We did cut off right up about to where we got to Junkyard Dog and the Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty. Covered that match, or we covered that match. You probably didn't get to hear it. And then at the end of the Saturday night's main event, there is a Mother's Day party thrown by Cyndi Lauper and her mom. Of course, Mean Gene talks to Junkyard Dog and his mother. The highlight of it for me was Fred Blassie standing there with a very young, beautiful lady. Gene asks who it is, and he says, "What? This is my mom, Laura." I don't know. I thought that was really funny. But yeah, and then winds up with, it's WWF in the 80s, so there's some shit that goes down with Moolah, Mean Gene, and a cake. But that was Saturday night's main event. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed what we were able to present. Hopefully next time around it'll be a little bit better. It'll be our normal audio quality here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Just want to remind you, if you are not already, subscribe to our YouTube page, the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network on YouTube, if that's how you prefer to listen to your podcast. We appreciate your support there. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network on Facebook, go ahead and join, and we will let you in for all the fun and the excitement that is the Facebook group. That being said, I'm going to put this thing to bed because it was kind of a nightmare. I hope everybody's having a great week out there. Next week, we will be doing the month of August of Smoky Mountain Wrestling on Pod on the Mountain. And then the week after that, we'll get back into this Saturday night's main event series with Saturday night's main event number 2. Everyone, have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Pod on the Mountain here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast.